What's good, YouTube? Anti-Yami here, back with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to go over my newest updated version of Yummy Pearly, which is going to be the hand trap version of this deck. I'm going to showcase the main deck and extra deck in very high quality details. I'm going to try to make up some scenarios as we go through the profile and give you guys more in-depth situations and why I play each card in my entire deck and some of the choices and stuff like that. I don't think this deck is like perfect by any means, and I think it's a very hard to play deck. So I do need to make more of like an in-depth guide to how to do every combo, but stay tuned towards the end of the video. I will go over some like common starting hands and how to play, or how I sequence a lot of my cards, and what different quick plays Purrely cards how I like sequence and stuff, because if I open up Sleepy, it's a lot different if I open up Beauty, and that will make more sense as we get to towards that portion of the video. All right, so anyway, I think hand traps are a lot better than board breakers. The reason why I took a while to make this, because I want to make sure that the list I had was very consistent and it was good into like every single deck and was very strong. Again, I won't showcase my side deck because I don't think that's very important. I'll talk about some of the cards I will play in this side deck, but for now it's only to my discretion. If I top a tournament and stuff, I will probably showcase that winning list, or you know, the list side deck I chose for that particular event. But for now, main deck, inside, and extra deck. So anyway, we're gonna start with a non-engine as we always do on this channel. We are playing the Fuwas in the main deck. Of course, we're playing the Veilers. I think Veilers are very underrated in this format because it hits a lot of different cards. There are some situations where if your opponent opens like a Obedient School, it's a little tough, but hopefully you can pair it with other cards. Also, this card is a great normal summon because it's a tuner and is level 1. So I'll talk about that more in the future, but it's a cool normal summon if you need to. Of course, we're playing triple Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is just generically pretty strong overall. Obviously, you needed to pair it with another card to make it very strong, but sometimes it can get you there. So it's very good, of course. Then we're playing the double Nibs, the double Ogre, and the double Bell. So the reason behind these 6 hand traps is because Nib is not super like strong in a lot of situations, but paired with any other of the hand traps, you can make Nib very strong, right? I feel like since I'm playing such little hand traps, and it sounds funny because I'm playing such little non-engine, it's because you need some blowout cards sometimes to pair with your like small hand traps, because a lot of times you can use a hand trap to bait your opponent to like not ending on an Omni, and right before they make the Omni, you nib them, and it's very strong. It worked versus like Malice a lot, and it also works versus like Yummies. If they start with like Obedient School, it becomes a lot easier. Just depends, right? It's not very strong into the Draco Tail matchup. Obviously, you excited about in games 2 and 3, but I think these cards are very they're slept on personally. I don't think they're the craziest cards in the meta, but especially if you activate Fua and they want to play under Fua for some reason, Nib is like a very strong punish, and it catches a lot of people off guard because people think that Nib is not that great in this format. I think it's fine. It won me a lot of games that I probably shouldn't have won because people don't respect it. And yeah, especially since people see you on Yummy cards, I wouldn't play Nib in pure Yummy, but in Yummy Pearlies, I think it's fine. I'm going to circle back around to Veiler here in the near future, but for right now, let's move on for the rest of the main deck. Of course, with the Cupsy or the Yummy engine, I'm only playing these 5 monsters. This is all you need. I tried to play 2 Lollipo and then 2 Cookies. I just don't think it's very necessary. A lot of the time, especially since you're not playing Obedient School, you don't really need extra copies of these cards. So yeah, you don't want to see too many normal summons in your hand. Yes, you do play Pearly cards that can help you discard, but sometimes if your opponent knows what you're on, especially in games 2 and 3, and let's say if you go like normal summon Pearly and you link it off into an Anima, it's very telegraphed that you have Yummy cards in hand, so they'll just get rid of your Anima, and then these cards become like hard to like get out your hand. You know what I'm saying? So I think 5 of these are perfect. I like the rule of this. I think you have a 50% chance. I'm just doing the math off the top of my head. 50% chance in a 40 card deck that you'll see one of these. And of course, you want to see Cupsy more because it just gives you more cards, more advantage off the rip, right? So I think those 5 are definitely fine. And it's funny because I look at this like package as like a Fiendful package a little bit, because you can just bridge into it by basically turning 2 of your monsters into like a synchro. So yep, that's there. And I think these are just kind of like the engine requirements of the Yummy package. I think these cards are fantastic. Player Crookie, that card's crazy. And then going into the Pearly cards, we're playing triple Pearly. This card is like insane, even though sometimes and a lot of times I feel like it just missed more times than it needs to. It still gives you a lot of advantage, and it's great for like baiting and stuff. It's such a great card. If this card was like once per turn, this deck would be obviously unplayable, but the fact that you can just keep like pressuring boards with this, and you can turn into Lick Anima once it gets like Emperor and Valor, which happens a lot, and it's just like they had to deal with that because they are scared of like Yummy cards in hand, and it's really insane. So these are very, very, very good. And the great thing about this card is that when you have like tons of cards, let's say like you fooled your opponent, right, and you have like 7 cards, most decks that have like 7 or 8 cards, sometimes they draw redundant, right? But the great thing about Pearly cards is that none of them are once per turn. So when you have a 7 or 8 card hand versus like if your opponent has a 7 or 8 card hand, a lot of those cards could be dead, where you can pick your dead cards with the Pearly cards and you can keep doing them over and over again, and you just get a lot of advantages off that. So when you summon this card and you pop the effect, it's just hard to tell what's going to happen. It could be a beauty, it could be a plump, it could be I can't think the one that attacks multiple times. I'm slipping my mind. It could be the one that happiness. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. happy. Yeah, so it's just like, it's a very great card. It's great for baiting, for at least going for second. Going first, it has different utility, especially it being a light is also very important too, which I'll talk about later on. And then of course I'm playing only 1 Purrely. Now you guys are probably wondering, okay, is this correct to play only 1 Purrely? And I was trying to cut the second one as fast as possible because again, we're only trying to like run. We don't want to draw the Pearly cards. Like, it's okay to draw these. If you see 1 in hand, that's perfectly fine. But typically, you don't want to draw these. You want to draw the quick play Pearly cards because they just get you into these. And if you don't really have a real normal summon, it's okay to normal summon these guys, because just like how in Pearly's or in Yummy decks, right? Let's say if your opponent, if you open Impure, of course, right? Let's say you open Cupsy and then like a hand trap. A lot of the times you can normal summon a hand trap and then turn this into an Amirage, and then you'll special summon because it plays around Ash Blossom very well. And if you don't know why, I'll showcase that here once we get done with the profile. I'll go over a lot of tips and tricks on how to like perfectly sequence your hand and your deck plays. But so to me, when you normal summon like a monster that can go into an anima, or not anima, I guess a Salomon Great monster or anima, whatever, right? In my deck, I am playing anima over the Amirage, and I'll go into details why again in the near future. Even though we're playing a lot of hand traps, you get as normal summon, especially something like Fua. But yeah, it plays around a lot more if you do it like that. So if you think about it, instead of summoning like a hand trap, why don't you summon a monster that actually gives you like a chance to give you more of a bonus? So like you can normal summon Pearly and you have like, you know, Cupsies in hand, then you can go effect, you know, hit something random like this, and then this is in your hand, and then you turn your Pearly into an anima, like so, anima, and then you just get way more value off this. And this plays through like so many hand traps, is insane. Like, it's actually illegal, because then now your opponent knows you still have this in hand, so you can just go into like Purrely gets my friend, and then you just go crazy, right? So it's just like, I don't know, like the Pearlies should not have this much synergy with Yummies, and I'm kind of glad they do, because it makes the deck so much fun. Like, it's very, very fun. But yeah, training wheel, if you feel comfortable playing 2 Purrely, play 2 Purrely. But I think once you get really comfortable with the deck and you play really, really smart, you only need 1. And if you ever need a second copy of Purrely, which it does come up, you just play really smart with this card, and you can recycle back all your Pearly cards, and you're just fine, right? So yeah, again, I'll talk about some of the sequencing on how you should play your Pearly cards, but yes, this is the package, and I think it's perfect, and I would not change this at all. I think playing only 1 Purrely is correct. And funny enough, it's the only one that's once per turn. So fun. So, of course, none of these changed. You're just playing, you're just maxing these out because, yes, you're just maxing them out. Boom, boom, boom. Yep. So they all have different strengths and weaknesses for going first and going second. I love Pretty. Pretty is probably my favorite one, especially for going second, because a lot of the times, I think a lot of low-level Pearly players are always trying to go into like the happiness OTK, or they try to make it happiness and attack into your opponent's monsters. But that's like great back in like the old formats where it's way less layered interruptions and stuff like that. And it was like a clear shot where you could just like happiness attack, search, happiness attack, search. It's not like that anymore. We're not playing Cashier format where they literally, you can bait like 2 of their interruptions and then they have like nothing else. And then you can just like beat, make a Zeus wipe, you know, go crazy. It's not like that anymore, right? So like the one I summoned the least, and it's gonna sound surprising, is the happiness. It still has its place, and obviously you still play it. But the ones I summon the most in this order is Plump, Pretty, Sleepy, and then Happy. This is obviously for going first. I barely make this for going second. There's sometimes I'll make the Noir to like bounce back to if I need to. I think I did that to play around an Imperm. That was very obvious. And once the Imperm was gone, then I can go into like different plays and stuff like that. But I think going second, I typically don't really make the Baby Noir. I like to call it Baby Noir. But yeah, this is really like my favorite card to go into because it's an Imperm, so it also like interacts with your opponent's monsters on the board. And not only that, you can actually attach, which is the broken thing. The amount of times I attached my opponent's Yummy Fill Spell, the minions, and it was sitting underneath my Pretty or my Beauty, and then I'll make an unaffected Noir, and they just can't win. Like they just can't win. Like it's really insane like how much this baits out. And then Delicious is really good too, because it basically says that if you have access to Pretty Memory, it does the exact same thing. Instead of having an Imperm, you just have a bigger Noir that's like has better stats and stuff like that too. So like it's really good. And then of course all of these cards have like really unique effects. Like in time, I noticed that I remember one time I went against somebody playing Vanquish Soul, and I, instead of like immediately activating it, because I just want to be more consonant for time, instead of like activating it on my turn, I just set it, and I had like, I think I had like Plump face up or something like that. And then in the standby phase, I flipped this up, used Plump the attach, and now I don't take battle damage or effect damage the next time I would take those damages. So like something like that can come in clutch if you need to, right? Sometimes you can run a little low on line points. I mean, 1,000 for each player is fine. If this card said you gained only 1,000, this card, like, Pearly's would be so crazy in time. And that's their balancing, that you both just gain 1,000, which is like completely fine. Of course, Happy. This card, since Ogre is now back in the format, or there's been times I've been Ogre so many different times, like this card just protecting the cards that get Ogre, like my Fill Spell, the Snatchy, my friend Pearly. There's so many cards. Like there's even times where I'll go against like the Mitsu deck, and they'll like Regeki my board, and I'll keep the card that I want to keep on board the most, and I protect it with the Happy. Card's very underrated. I feel like this is a lot of the times I hold these cards the longest, and see if my opponent has the Ogre or not, and then I'll chain it. And if they Ogre like my Snatchy, like this, like place a Fill Spell or something, then I'll just chain Happy. I'm gonna chain it anyway, so might as well just get like the value off of it, and then summon like a Pearly while also protecting my Snatchy and still going full Yummy combo. Like it's really insane. And Delicious is also crazy because its secret effect is monsters that you select can't destroy by battle until not the next end phase, but the end phase afterwards, which is insane. So I use this to protect sometimes my Cupsy cards or my Yummy cards if they get ran over. Like sometimes I'll make for an example, let's say I make a Lollipo and it's still face up on the board, right? Sometimes I'll use Delicious to protect this from being destroyed by battle, and this is very hard to out because if they use a card effect, then you just tag out, which is really good. And of course, the obvious card that I used to use Delicious for a lot is obviously Arclight, which is also very annoying. So that comes up in a lot too. So yeah, I'm gonna showcase a 1-card combo towards the end of this video about this card and why this is like literally the best card to open when you go first in your deck. Not only that you can activate this straight up, like these cards right here are like your main starters, and Konami, please put the Pearly cards all back to 3. Like there's no reason why these cards are semi-limited. Like these cards been semi-limited for like 2 years. Like let's fix that. All right. But these are like the cards you can just straight up activate whenever you feel like. And these cards, you have to control a card to activate these. And it's funny because in some combinations, like if you open up Pretty and then you have Happy, you can actually activate both of these in the draw phase, because you can go this draw phase and then you can also just go Happy to target this to protect it from being destroyed by card effects, even though it won't be on the field for much longer. So you can summon 2 monsters on board and then you get your searches, and then you can go into Yami combo, which is also really strong if you decide to go that route. But yes, these are your main starters, because again, you can activate these straight away in the draw phase if you like to. Yeah, so these cards are really strong. And again, I'll go over a 1-card combo with this, because this is the only one where I activate and I'll summon Purrely straight up like this, because this is a old Pearly heads know this combo line, and again, I'll talk about that once we get there. But if it's any other usually any other quick play, I usually summon Pearly to try to get as much advantage as I possibly can. Again, it all depends on your hand, because this deck is not like an auto combo deck. There's a lot of like decisions you got to make. Also, if you're getting hand trapped, how to play around certain cards, Droll, Fua, Purrely, Nib, stuff like that. So yeah. And then of course we're still playing the 2 My Friend Pearlies. Obviously I don't like to play 3 because it can be a little breaky and is highly searchable in your deck. So I think that's fine. And then of course we're playing the other mandatory card, which we're playing, like I like to call them like bricks. Yeah, this is definitely a brick, and you're playing like these 3. These are like your main bricks cards you don't really want to open. Like it's okay to open in some hands, because a lot of times you are discarding for the most part, but a lot of times you can see too many of those in your hand and they can make your hand a little funny. So that's like whatever. So that's the main deck, and then let's go ahead and hop into this extra, and then we'll get into some more like in-depth stuff, right? So of course you play the 1 Arclight, 1 Metal Marcher, boom, boom, boom. None of this has changed. So if you saw my past deck profiles, none of this has changed. 1 Noir, 1 Beauty, 1 Happiness, 1 Plump. You play 1 of each because you can recycle them. And then you play this card. This is the card I want to play more of, but obviously 1 is fine. You play the Double Snatchy, and then you play 1 SP Little Knight and 1 Anima. And again, the reason why I don't play, because I did test the, I can't think of his name now. It's not Amaraj, but the Salamangreat Link one, is because yes, you do play a lot of hand traps, but in this deck, it's particularly very important to not do that, because you don't play that many Yummy cards, right? In most Yummy decks, you're playing like 3-3-3, right? So did you have a higher chance of seeing a hand trap plus a Yummy card? In this deck, you don't really see your Yummy cards as often, right? You see them like half the time. And the issue I was running into when I was playing the Salamangreat Link 1, even though I just said his name in the video, I can't think of his name right now, is because you'll go into these situations where you'll open hands like this. Let's just do this, right? And then you have nothing else. Like you probably have all like a full like spell and trap hand, and you open these 2. Now, when your monsters are special summoned, you can't go into the Amaraj Link 1, which is the issue I came up in, I think a couple hands, where I was like, dang, if I would have played Anima, I would have had full Yummy combo. You're right. So like, that's the reason why. And the other like annoying reason is that sometimes when you go second if they out your normal summon, like say for example, if you go second, right? And if you normal summon something like Purrely or Pearly, right? Activate the effect. Let's say for some god reason they SP Lord Knight banish it, right? Like say they just made an SP Lord Knight and they just banish it. Now you can't go into your Link 1 anymore. So all your other pushers are going to be special summons. And then now you can't like summon the yummy cards that are stuck in your hand. So versus where if you were to like say like down normal summon whatever, it gets SP Lord Knighted, and then now you can go happy goes into another Pearly, and then now Pearly gets advantage, and then now you can go leak anima, and then now all your cards are live now. Like it gives you extra pushes. Very rarely where my normal summon will be used as the anima Link 1. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but when I was playing the Salamangreat card, I had to make sure that my normal summon was like on point and make sure it was protected. So it was just like a lot of hard work and wasn't really worth it. So yeah, the anima is just better, and also it works as interruption as well, because sometimes players do fill their fields up a lot, and then you can just play anima, suck up their monster, go into beauty. This actually happened earlier today. Go into beauty, and then you can use their monsters that you have equipped to send to the graveyard to suck up another monster, which happens from time to time, right? So yeah, but that's the reason why I like this card over the anima. And plus there's times where you want to go make an SP Lord Knight to out something, to bait for something first, and then SP Lord Knight, you know, banish, and then continue your plays from there, and it have the banish effect, which sometimes come up too in more situations than you think. And yes, if I were to make space for another card, it would be Typhon, because you do play a lot of hand traps, and again, you play a lot of ways to get to your monsters, but Typhon sometimes, especially since you're playing like a more heavy, like, you know, hand trap version, Typhon does come up in some situations, especially versus the Yummy match, but it hasn't cost me any games without having it, if that makes sense. So if I were to make space, I can see it being impossible, but more times than not, Typhon is just kind of like one of those cards you don't really need in a lot of scenarios. It comes up way less than you think. It'll end up not really winning you more games. Sometimes it can win you some games, but I feel like in most cases it will probably still not win you games, especially in this deck. When I'm talking about like winning games, I'm talking about purely this deck, not like pure yummies or, you know, whatever. I'm talking about in this version. Okay, so we went over everything that I feel like that was pretty important to talk about. Now let's go over some tips and tricks and some synergies, and go from there, right? So I want to talk about the 1-card combo with the Sleepy. I feel like that's the most important thing to talk about, and we will go from there. So let's pretend I have like a random 5-card hand, right? Like this card. Let's just add, I don't know, a Fua here, right? So now you can go activate Sleepy Memory, pitching the Fua, and then here you just pray that your opponent doesn't have Imperm, because it's like the only card that can interact if you do this in the draw phase is Imperm. So, or I guess Purge, but like nobody's ashing or purging this card. If you do that, like you probably need to go to the side events. Like, let's just be real. So anyway, now you have Sleepy in your graveyard, and then you activate the effect of Pearly, and then we're gonna add My Friend Pearly. Then we're gonna activate My Friend Pearly, and we're going to add these are the cards I always add here. This is like the consistent combo I always go for. I always add 2 Delicious, and then I always add a Sleepy. There's a 33% chance that if you see a third or a second Sleepy Memory, you can go for the draw 4 combo, which I'll showcase what that looks like here. So let's go ahead and go into that. So we hit this because we got lucky, right? So now we're gonna go activate Purrely's effect, and this is super great under Droll. Like when I have Sleepy Memory, I play into Droll like nobody's business. I really don't care for the Yummy combo here because this is really hard to deal with. So then now you go into your Pearly Noir, and then you will activate Sleeping Memory, and then you will activate the effect of Noir to attach, and this is going to set your trap. Now, if you're not on the draw here, of course, you can keep pushing by discarding another card from your hand, and then you can go into a Pearly here, and then you can hit, not hit, doesn't really matter. This extra body right here is very important if you have like a Yummy card in hand, or if you have another access. If your cats are really good, you can activate another, let's say it hits like Pretty Memory or something, then you can activate Pretty Memory, attaching it to your Pearly Noir. And if you want to, you can discard another card from your hand, and we're going to summon another Pearly. And then now these two are going to turn into your basically your full Yummy combo, which is really, really good. And the crazy thing about this is, let's say, for example, if your opponent has Nib here, right? If they Nib you at any point in your combo, like if you don't have access to like your full Yummy stuff yet, because remember, this is summon 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you go Link Anima and they Nib you on that, like that's the best time to Nib if you want to get, you know, they play Nib against you. Let's say that happens, right? Like you get Nib here, boom, boom, and then all this stuff goes away. Now, the most important thing here is the reason why I want to hit Delicious as much as possible, because if that happens, you can add back these two. And you won't have the draw 4 combo anymore. You'll still draw 2. If you want to have the beauty interruption, then you can also just, you know, well, I guess we'll talk about that once we get more into it, because I think I'm going a little far ahead of myself. Because you can get the draw 2 with the 1 Sleepy if you activate this in the standby phase. But I think it's very important to hang on to your Pretty effect. And what's funny enough, if they Nib you, then you can go beauty attach, and you can make yourself was it a 2 detach, or I guess a 4 Matte Noir, which is 2 spin backs on top of your Imperm. So yeah, so let's say if you get Nib here and you add these 2 back to your hand, right? Because this adds back different names. So again, if we got lucky, which I'm pretty sure if you revolve like at least 2 of these, you always usually hit like another name, like another Happiness, whatever. So you typically would have more cards in hand. But in this particular situation, again, if we have access to the like Delicious, it's insane. But let's just say we did randomly just hit Delicious for this point of an example. We'll take Sleepy Memory and activate the effect. We're going to discard another card from our hand, and then we're going to activate Pearly again to hit a card, whatever. If it does, it doesn't matter. And then we're going to upgrade into Plump. Then we're going to activate the effect of Pretty to attach to the Plump, and then we can attach these 2 to the Plump. And then now, since we don't have no need for Pearly, we can send Pearly attached to Nib. I guess, for example here, Nib is attached. And then now you can just make your big Noir. And now you still get the draw 2, and you have an unaffected Noir. As an example, with usually the Sleepy combo, right? That's the line I will always try to go for if I start with Sleepy Memory. And of course, if Pearly hits, it can bridge into the Yummy engine, and they can just do a lot of stuff. But a lot of the times you will have a Noir that's like unaffected 9 times out of 10. So that's what that will look like. So that's like kind of like the combo line I'll go for if I hit a Sleepy Memory. So but yeah, that's like the small chance. If you hit a Delicious, then this is more considerate. Like it just plays through Nib like nobody's business if you decide to play that hard into Nib. Again, you don't have to get greedy. You can just not summon so many times, and if you don't feel comfortable about getting Nib, just make the Noir. It doesn't matter. And you just go for the draw 4 and be safe. So yeah, that's what I would typically do if you hit the Sleepy over the Delicious. Personally, just draw 4, have a fat Noir unaffected, and hand trap your opponent to death, because now when you draw 4 with hand traps, it's really strong. Also, I forgot to mention that I am also side decking Purrely. I'm not main decking it right now because I want to, if I do get into the draw combos, I want to make sure that I have a lot of live hand traps that I can play on my opponent's turn. So that's the reason why I'm side decking it. Mostly for going second, not so we can draw more live cards off of Noir and stuff like that. So that's the reason, if you guys were wondering. So yes, there's 3 Purrelyas in my side deck. So let's talk about another situation, and it's going to evolve around Plump again, and it's a really cool situation. Let me see if I can set this up. Put this back, put these back. And it does evolve some yummy cards. So let's just say we start with Cupsies. And let's just say we start with, let's just do Delicious to make it easier for ourselves. And let's just give ourselves a little discard action here. Okay, so let's say you start with a hand like something like this, right? You go stand by main. You will go normal summon Cupsies, and then you're going to use Cupsies effect to search out your surprise. And then after that, you're going to turn your Cupsies into your Link 1. And then you're going to use the effect to activate the minions. Then after that, I'm losing focus here a little bit, but I think that's okay. Let me fix that. Is the focus? Yeah, I don't know what it is. I feel like whenever I get into my editor and release the video, it looks a lot worse. It looks fine for me. It looks really crispy, but I feel like whenever I go into my editor, it feels like it makes the quality worse. So I have to fix that. So I apologize if it does look really like crunchy, but I'll work on fixing that in the near future. Apologies for that. So yes, so then you go minions. Minions effect is going to bring back our Cupsies. And then now we're just going to try to end on a Herald if we like to. There's different variations of a lot of these combos. There's some combos where instead of going for Metal Marcher, I just make an SP Little Knight. But I think in this version, let's just keep it simple, right? So then we're going to Cupsy Yummy Way. Cupsy Yummy Way's effect is going to add your other 2 names. And let's get rid of... let's get rid of Lollipop. Then we're gonna take this, turn it into the Link 1, special summon Cookie, and then now we're gonna take these 2, and we're gonna turn this into a Lollipop. Next, we're going to special summon 1 and 2. And then we're gonna link those, or sorry, synchro into your Metal Marcher. Effect a Metal Marcher to bring back your Lollipop. Or sorry, your Cupsy. And then we'll take these 2. And we're gonna turn this into your Arclight. Now, this is where it's very important. If you got this far, congratulations. You pretty much win a game. So now we still have Surprise in our hand. We have a random discard, and then we have Delicious in our hand, right? So then now we're going to activate Delicious Memory, and we are going to select this so this card cannot be destroyed by battle. So we're going to go into our Pearly here by pitching Fua. It will get banished, but in this example, who cares, right? Then we're going to use the effect of Purrely to activate or to search out your My Friend. And then after that, we're going to activate My Friend. Let's add, I don't know, We're gonna add a sleepy, even though it's a 33% chance. You can probably hit happiness if you want to too as your other card. So you can use this as like protection and stuff like that to like protect your my friend if they play harpies and stuff like that, or they randomly destroy it. It doesn't really matter here, right? Actually, here, let's just do happy since we haven't really showcased happiness. So now we have these two. So then we're gonna use Purrely's effect to target our delicious. And remember, this is negated off a Metal Marcher. Fun fact. Then we're gonna go into our plump. Then next, after that, we're gonna activate my effect of my happy memory to chaining plump. Plump is going to attach. Plump is now going to banish my negated Cupsy Way, because on end phase it's going to come back and this effect is going to be live, which is really insane. That's a synergy that this deck can do. So now you have that. Let's say we discard a random card out of our hand, because again, we still got 2 more cards in our hands. And then since we kind of like lowered our deck count a lot, and we only have, I think we have like what, we still have 10 targets that we can hit in our deck with this. So yeah, most likely we'll be hitting a quick play. And let's say, for example, let's say we hit a pretty memory, right? For an example. So yeah. And just remember, Pearly is also a light, so you can still make the link 2 if you need to. But I don't think we don't need to make it, because we're gonna just set this instead of like activating it and whatever, because this is coming back with its effect. So this is perfectly fine. Let's see what we want to do here, because we can definitely get a lot greedier. Because we could try to make a Noir on our opponent's turn, or our turn before we get back to our opponent, but that requires actually we could sacrifice this surprise. You know what, let's just do it. Heck with it. So we're gonna move minions off to the side here because we know minions is there. So let's go ahead and get a little funky with it. We're gonna activate Pretty Memory, right? And we're gonna use Pretty Memory to pitch the surprise. It's gonna look really crazy. We're gonna summon another Pearly, and let's just say we got lucky again. Let's say our Pearly hits another card, right? Yeah, like yippee, we hit another card, right? So now we have exactly enough spells in our graveyard for our Pearly or plump to attach to. So now we can heart make our Noir here, which gives us 3 spin backs, which is really good. And this is gonna come back on our end phase. And let me see if there's anything else that we can really do here. You can turn these 2 into an SP Little Knight if you like. You can let's see what we really want to do here. Yeah, you can do a lot of things here. If you hit like a card off of it, you can just like upgrade just to make an extra, you know, whatever here. Like if you hit like a beauty or a happiness and stuff like that, and if you have another quick play in hand, then you can use, like, for example, like happiness effect can non-target bout spells and traps. So like if, say for example, if your opponent activates a fill spell that like typically searches on summon or on activation, you can actually just bounce it back. Of course, beauty is like an imperm, which is really, really strong and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's really, really strong. And yeah, that's their end board here. And it's also very important to also keep this up as level 1 as well, because in a lot of scenarios, this level 1 body can be used as a body for a synchro material. So that's also very strong too. And then on end phase, this comes back. We still have minions on the board, which is like whatever. But sorry, I made this a little bit more that's a smaller field. So your end board will be Noir, Herald, I guess Noir here to draw another card. So you're getting draw 2. This is here for an extra body, and then you can, you know, use that. Now, since we didn't really turn this into anything crazy, because there's no quick plays in my graveyard, there was probably no reason to summon the second Pearly in this example, but just show in case that you can, if you want to make an SP Little Knight instead of over this. Just depends on the situation. There's a lot of decisions you can make with your deck. So, but yeah, this is an example of what you can do with Plump, which is really, really cool. That you can actually turn your Metal Marcher target into an effect monster again by banishing it with Plump. So I want to showcase like that type of scenario. And again, this is a pretty hard board to break. And even if you get Dark Ruler, at least you still have Noir and drawing too, and you have hand traps, and this can't be destroyed by a battle, remember? So like they have to out this really weirdly, and yeah, it's just really, really, really strong. So yep. I think I'm gonna go over one more scenario on something here. Kind of reset everything here. Let's go over one more scenario that I feel like that's very, very cool. So let's just say, do I need hand traps for this example? Let's do it. Yeah, I'll showcase the Veiler thing because I said I was going to talk about this. So Veiler. So let's say, for example, your hand is like Fua, Sleepy. Let's say you drew one of those awkward cards, Minion, and let's do Pretty here, right? Let's say that's your starting hand, and you're probably wondering, okay, what's correct here, right? So here, what I would do is in the draw phase, I will activate Sleepy, and again, we'll try to go for our combo where we'll set up our. Actually, let's not do Sleepy because, yeah, let's just not do Sleepy. Let's do Happy instead. Sleepy is just too straightforward. We already talked about Sleepy. Let's give Sleepy a rest. Let's say you open something like this, right? So we'll activate Pretty Memory in the draw phase, and we're gonna go for Purrely. Now, since I have my deck right here, let's just say we get lucky, right? I'm just gonna shuffle it up and see if we actually hit, and if we don't hit, then we'll play test it the way it is. Again, I'm not going to go for a full inboard here because I just want to showcase what a Number Summon Veiler can do, right? So, yep. So that hits, and we're going to pitch. Let's just pitch Fua right here in this situation. And let's see if we hit. So, Cookie, Sleepy, Nib. So we'll put those back to the bottom, and we actually hit our Sleepy, which is really, really nice. And then if you want to keep playing more of these in the draw phase, you can. Here, I'll just stop and go stand by main. Next, I will normal summon Veiler. And the great thing about Veiler is that this is a tuner. Now, I do side deck Droll because I think Mitsu is not a bad deck at all. And I think Droll, especially going games 2 and 3 when you go first and you draw 4 and you happen to hit a Droll, I feel like whatever you have on your half board, full board, whatever, and then you Droll your opponent after that, it's really tough. And you have Droll in your deck because you know Droll is semi or really good against your opponent's deck. So if you somehow have Droll going second or going first into your opponent trying to break your board, I feel like it's game over. So if you normal summon Droll, you just turn the Droll into an Anima and then go from there. But since you have Veiler and Veiler's already a tuner, you can actually just do this. So you can just take those two and then you can just straight up synchro right into your cup seed. Yep, that's it. Just straight up into your cup seed. And then you'll go from the races from there. And then you have like this hand to capitalize off of, right? And then again, since you have Sleepy, we can do like the 1-card Sleepy combo with the Purrely and all that fun stuff. So you have that. So you'll probably end up discarding this, and you can use the effect to shuffle back your yummy monsters back in your graveyard once you add them to and do your plays and stuff like that. You can set up the arc light and then go into like those type of lines. You'll probably have a Crookie face up just in case you do get nib. You can get more advantage off that. Yeah, so yeah, this deck is really good. I think it plays through a lot of really cool hand traps. The only thing I will definitely say that I'm still trying to figure out is how to play against Contact C, because Contact C is very weird. I definitely got Contact Seed and I got very lucky because my hand was actually really powerful. Because you can't XYZ with your Pearly monsters, because it'll be really nice if you can go like affect a Pearly, upgrade into like Sleepy, or not Sleepy, Beauty. And does Beauty negate Does it have to target your opponent's monsters? Let me see. I think it's just your opponent's, right? Yeah, it has to be your opponent's effect. But I wish there was like an easier way to out that card. It's like there's no real way out going into SP Little Knight, and SP Little Knight sucks early because then now you can't go into your snatchy as easy. So I'm trying to figure that out. So if anybody had any suggestions for that, let me know. But anyway, I think that's enough yapping for this. I'll go again in more in-depth combos, maybe like I guess like semi spreadsheet combos and stuff like that. But I think this is just as good as anything. I'll probably end up having like actually gameplay matches with this deck so you guys can kind of see how I like theorize. Losing or winning doesn't really matter. If the games are good, I will definitely showcase it and go from there. All right guys, but thank you guys for all watching. You guys are all amazing. I know this is a longer video, but if you guys have any questions, please leave a comment down below. And thank you guys for all watching. Have a great one. Peace.